Guys, today's the day. I have my base map for my file for the Vortex XL. So we're going to be installing, that I have right here in my box, the low pressure fuel pump from EQT and the 2 sensors as well, so that we can start logging, so we can get the car all dialed up. So I'm super excited. I'm going to be making 2 videos. I'm going to be making a video on the install of the low pressure fuel pump, and then a really quick video on the sensors, because I haven't been able to find really any online. So that'll be like a quick, maybe like 5-minute video to show you how to do these sensors as well in this car. So let's get right into it. Please do not mind my mess of a car, but we have to remove the bench part of the back seat. So all you need to do is take each side, and this will just pull up with a little bit of force. And we'll do the other side, like so. And then now all we need to do is lift it past these little points right here, 1 and 2. And now your bench seat is fully out. And you can remove that. All right, guys, now that the back seats are out, we're gonna be working on this side, the passenger side. Now, there's gonna be 2 separate sides that look pretty much identical, but on the driver's side is where the Haldex connector and all that stuff is. You wanna be on the passenger side. So the first thing that we're gonna be doing is removing this little grommet. It just peels back. This is where all the connectors lay under. So here we go. And you have a bunch of wires that are gonna come out. And this plate should literally just, with a little bit of force, should just move out of the way. So a little bit of wiggling. There we go. So now this is all out of place. I'm gonna push the grommet back through to move this completely out of the way. Now we're gonna be working on here, removing the actual fuel pump from the car. And wow, this is super grimy. So that's one thing to expect, guys. My car has almost 60,000 miles on it. So this will be a little bit grimy, and it is what it is. Nothing you can really do about it. Try the best you can to work around it and probably clean it as best as you can. Next thing that we're gonna be doing, guys, is removing the connectors and the feed for the fuel line. Now, I definitely suggest getting a rag, because you're gonna get a little bit of fuel spray, and that's normal if there's pressure in the system. If you just drove the car, there's gonna be a little bit in the system, and it's gonna come out. So you want something to be able to clean it up really quickly, because you're messing with fuel. And another tip is you definitely want to have a very low tank for this. The more fuel you have, the more messy this is going to be, and the more annoying. So I highly suggest that you definitely run the car till like a quarter of a tank, maybe a little less. Right now I have 15 miles till empty, so that's perfect. So I'm going to use a pick tool to help me remove these. So this clip up should just come out. There's one. And you're going to want to do this for all of them, guys, because you don't want to break any of these connectors, because that'll be a very bad time, and if something's broken, you might not be able to fix it on the spot. So I'm gonna feed my pick through the top of the connector. There we go. Oh, okay, that was easy. So now we have the 2 connectors removed, and now we have to remove the feed line for this. So let's get these out of the way. Now this is where the fuel spray might come into play. You want to turn this a little bit. There's like a black tab in the front. So we're going to push that and pull up. Again, guys, you might get a little bit of fuel spray, but that's normal. I'm trying to prepare myself for that. There it is. Yep. And we got a lot more than I thought, but that's what happens. But make sure to have a rag to cover that up. And we're gonna move that to the side for now. And I'm gonna get a couple more rags, because a little more fuel came out than I wanted, but I just drove the car, so that's kind of inevitable. So it is what it is. So just grab a second rag, guys. Like for me, like I said, a little more than I wanted came out. But at the end of the day, if you drive the car beforehand, you're gonna get some pressure in the system, causing some fuel spray. So not much you can do on that part. If you didn't drive the car and you have an area to do it where you did not start the car, after a couple days, you shouldn't have that much fuel. So we're gonna get this line out of the way now. Should be good. Yep, now the line's all clear, so we can get that out of the way. Get these rags out of the car. Now we're gonna have to move the retaining ring to actually pull the pump out. And also we gotta get the stock controller out, which is right back here. There's a little tab. You'll feel it with your hand. You lift it up. You'll see right now. You'll be able to feel it with your hand. There it is. There it is. And there we have the stock controller. There's a little tab that you're gonna pull up with your hand. It fits perfectly fine. And now everything is out of the way. We have all the connectors, the stock controller out. We'll move the fuel line back here. Just make sure not to lose it, push it back too far. Now we can take off the retaining ring. So this to me is a very important step. I'm gonna be marking the retaining ring on the fuel pump to part of the car with a Sharpie marker, so I know when I put the ring back later, when I put the new fuel pump in, it's in the same orientation and in the same place as it is right now. So I'm gonna be making a mark right here. Works because it's open, so I'm gonna be making a mark with my ring and onto the actual body of the car. So once these two lines match up, I know that I'm in the same orientation as I was before. And now with a flathead and a mallet, I'm gonna be starting to bang out the retaining ring from its place. I definitely suggest using a little bigger of a flathead because to give you a little more leverage, or like a pry bar or something like that, because with the smaller flathead like the one that I'm using, unfortunately I don't have a bigger one. It might be a little tougher, but as you can see, right out of place. A little more. There we go. So now we have the retaining ring out of place, and now the fuel pump should just start to, a little bit of wiggling, it should start to come up. There we go. So now we have the fuel pump right here out of place. Now again, this is something that could get a little messy, so just be wary. There, when we pull out right here, you're going to be very careful. You don't want to get caught up on anything, the fuel level sensor and all of that. You want to be very, very careful. The first thing I'm going to be doing is disconnecting the connector here for the fuel level sensor, like so. Got the connector out. Now you want to twist it. We're going to pull out this right here, which just drains back in to the pump, and we'll get that a little later. Drop that, twist around the fuel level sensor, like so. And now when we pull this up, there's going to be one more connector, which is right here. And be careful again, because we'll have fuel. And then we will disconnect this right here. This pops off. Tab on the side. Like so. And now, with all that disconnected, we have the old fuel pump out. I'll let it drain into the tank a little more. We need to remove this line as well. There's a little push clip, same thing, and it should just pop out. So now we're gonna have these two lines exposed. This could go into your parts bin with your fuel pump, and now we can start to install the aftermarket EQT pump into the car. All right guys, so we have the EQT pump right here. So basically the way it's gonna go is the larger line, let me put this out of the way, the larger line is gonna connect into the 90-degree, like so, and you're gonna hear it click. There's one. And then the smaller line is going to connect into the actual pump itself, and this one is going to click as well. So make sure you hear that click, because if you don't hear the click, it means that it didn't go in all the way. So let me pull this one back out and then reposition it to, there we go. Now that clicked, and now this wire loves to fall. Now that we have those in place, we're going to lower the pump. And again, be very careful, because the fuel level sensor is a little tricky. So we're going to want to put the level sensor in first, then the lines, and then the pump itself. Okay, you're going to want to route the wire under the pump, because you do not want it to get caught on the fuel level sensor itself. And now we have the wire here, because what's going to happen is the float is not going to work, and then you're going to get an incorrect fuel reading. So let me get this away from the float itself and route this away from the level sensor, because the sensor is the level first. Okay, so now the pump is in, and I see that the fuel level sensor is not in any way, shape, or form caught up with the wire. So now we can connect right here. Boom. Now we have our connector. Now we can actually put the pump back into place once I put the little gasket back around this. So now we can easily put our gasket back. We can tuck the wires in. Work this around and make sure that it seats properly, because if it doesn't, that could obviously cause a leak or an issue, and that we don't want any of that to happen. A little tricky. You want to go all around, make sure that it's not kinked up anywhere, make sure that it's sitting flat all the way around. That's good. Okay, so this is all good to go. So now we can push the pump down into place, kind of rotate the pump a little bit. Remember, this is a spring-loaded pump. All right, guys, so I have the fuel pump pushed down into place. So I'm going to take my flathead and start working it around so I can match up the Sharpie mark, the original Sharpie mark that I made on the car. There we go. And a little more. There we go, guys. And everything now is all lined up. The retaining ring pump is very nice and sturdy in here. And now we could go and start to do all the wiring and the connections on the pump. Okay, so now we're going to be working with the new harness that gets provided, as well as, first thing I'm going to do is just reconnect the fuel line. So you want to take off this cover, and you're going to hear this click into place. So that's good to go. Now you want to use a pick tool, there we go, to take out the factory controller, because we're not going to be using this controller anymore. All right, guys, so what I did, now you got to put all of this through, and I'm going to be leaving this one out as well. The ground wire, we need to leave the ground out. But these two smaller connectors are going to be going through. This is going to be for the new controller. That's why you're going to leave this out. This is actually going to be mounting to the back in the trunk of the car. And then now I'm going to start putting through, again, the other connectors. So, and just because it gives you more room to work when you take them out. So, and now here is where we could do all of our connections, leaving this one out and the ground wire out as well. Okay, so I'm gonna do one, goes into here. This one is gonna go right there. And then the final one is gonna go, here we go, right, oh, sorry, wrong one, there. Then you're gonna push the red tab down. So you're gonna have one connector left. This is not gonna be used anymore, just so you're aware. There's gonna be one connector from the original harness that we're basically just jumping, and is not gonna be useful anymore. So this, we can all just start tucking this all under here. We can leave this on top, it doesn't make a big difference. We can tuck some of this wire here, and now we can situate all the wires and all of that stuff and make this as neat as possible. I want this install to be as neat as possible. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to keep the ground and the controller wire here so that I'm able to cut out a piece of the grommet. I can even pull this out a little more, just to be on the safe side, but so that I have more length on this. So, and now I'm going to cut out a little notch here in the grommet so that this all fits nicely. Okay, cool. careful. I don't want to cut too much. Okay, so let's see. Yep, so there we go. There's one. Should all fit in nicely. These gloves are falling apart. Jesus. Go and bang, there we go. So now we have the little slit for the grommet in place. We have the ground wire out like so, and we have the controller out. Now I'm going to show you where we're going to ground it and where we're going to mount the controller for this. All right, guys, so for the ground wire, this is going to be very tricky. You're going to have to lift this up. Watch out for your seat. But you lift this out of place. There's going to be a stud right. Let me see if I can show you guys. Right there, that little stud right there. You're gonna need a nut on the end of it, but that's where we're gonna ground it. And what's nice is that there's no paint around it, so you don't even have to sand. So we're gonna ground our wire right there under the seat. The Golf R has like a little thing like right in this area where you could ground, which is nice. But here on the S3 or the A3, you're gonna have to ground it right under there. Okay, guys, so the last step is gonna be mounting the controller for the pump. So I'm gonna be removing the liner, as well as this right here, just for a second. There's a certain place that I want to mount the pump. So this out. And you guys, you can mount the pump in different places, but the controller gets, I'm sorry, you can mount the controller where you want. It does get a little hot, so I suggest you let it breathe a little bit. This side. All right, guys, so we're going to be mounting the controller now into the harness. You got to pull out the locking tab right here. We're going to be pushing the new controller in like so, all the way in, and then when you lock it into place, it'll pull the controller as close to the inside as possible, and it'll click. So now we have the controller, and I'm going to be mounting the controller up like probably like right here. Now you can either put it like here on the Velcro. I don't with some Velcro. I don't have Velcro at the moment. I think I'm just going to leave the controller like this for now, and then get a piece of Velcro on the bottom to hold it into place so it doesn't move around. But that should be it, and that'll handle all the harness and all the install. So we have everything back into place now. This is grounded onto the body of the car. I'm going to put some tape just to hold this into place. We have this harness, so now we can put the back seats in since everything's connected, load the tune up, and then start the car and see if it cooperates with us. All right, guys, so I have the electrical tape all mounted to the wires, and this all nice and steady now. So this is grounded right. The controller's in the back of the trunk. It has space to breathe, which is really good because it does get a little warm. Now we're going to reinstall the back seats and try and start the car and see if it gives us any issues while starting it. Then what I'm going to be doing is installing my sensors really quickly in another video that I'm going to make on the same day. I'll upload the tune from EQT and then see where we stand. We have all the back seats back in. So let's see if my car decides to start. I haven't uploaded the tune yet. Like I said before, I still got to do the sensors, but the car should still start. There we go. Very good. Very good. No issues. Okay. That was a success. So it is the next day, and I finished the low pressure fuel pump install and the sensors for the car. So just to let you guys know, I'm having a little issue like editing some of the other videos that I did. So some of these videos might be coming out of order, just so you're aware of how I install them. But I needed to do all these videos anyway to get to the point that the car is basically good to go for tuning. So I guess it really doesn't matter which order they come out and what order you guys watch them. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.